I am Yvonne Nobles, and I am a mindset coach and success strategist with New You Wow.
Hey, it's Kellen. And today on Diversified Game. Oh, this is going to be a good conversation. Not just because her mic is like awesome sounding and she has a voice for radio, TV, whatever, you want to say. She's of a different class. She's a noble. Yeah, a nobles. And so I have Yvonne Nobles, and she's going to give us the game to help you. More importantly, to help you. It's straight game, no chase, but it's not anything that's going to be a get rich quick. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have to go to her website. You're going to have to go hire her. You're going to have to pay her for her to elevate you into a different class because you might be a serf. She's higher than that. So welcome, Yvonne Nobles, to Diversified Game. How are you doing today?
I'm amazing. Hello, hello. It's an honor to be here.
Well, I'm thankful. I'm as thankful for you to be here as I'm buttoning up my shirt right now. Just thinking if I stood up and my stomach was out on for the few people who watch, most of us the audience listens, but yeah,
Exactly.
I'm doing that. Yeah. Well, tell the people how what the new you, the mindset coach, getting the clients that people really want, which are the higher paying ones. If we're being just honest and upfront, there's nothing wrong with saying that. You don't want to always be in the dirt. You want to be, with the noble. So give us the game on your business.
It's all about helping people reinvent. Many times we don't realize that we are our own worst enemy. And if we just get out of our way, that's when miracles happen. So it's been an obsession of mine since I was much, much younger to just help people turn on that light. And I noticed I have an uncanny way of helping people just when we have a conversation, realize, wow, I've been playing small. And so I love the fact that you, Diversified Game, you understand the fact that it's all about leveling up and showing up and then being amazed at what we're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in an age right now where technology allows us to be able to work from home, homeschool, travel when we want and can afford when it makes sense. But
Yes.
somebody's listening to this right now and saying, well, listen to her last name. Of course she's there. Were you always, doing this business? Did you live in the real world where you weren't in the hierarchy of classes? Or are you just born like that? Because maybe she's a blue blood. Yeah, they're black blue bloods out there.
Well, the name was inherited from my hubby, so I'm going to put that on him. But yeah, it's one of those things where I always say I had to live 40 years of struggle so my clients don't have to. It's pretty much making sure that people understand where you start is not where you have to end. So taking it back to the beginning, I'm just a small cowtown girl. I was born near Lake Okeechobee here in Florida. And for anyone that's been through the town, you probably blinked and missed it. It's just cows and orange groves. But at the tender age of 2, my dad enlisted in the military. And that led to a lot of adventure, a lot of having to learn to be on my toes and adapt and flexibility. So my first stay in Germany, actually, I was 6 years old. I met my now husband. He was 9 at the time. We kissed our very first day. It was his fault, but I got in trouble for it. But it was just a beautiful foray into understanding that, I had the privilege of meeting people who survived the Holocaust. And I became very intrigued that these were people that could smile and be okay with the fact that evil exists. And even when you're a victim of circumstance, you can come out bigger and better. You don't have to react in kind. And so I learned from them the secret of making sure that you always come out taller, no matter what life hands you, because you can't always control the cards, but you can still win the game.
Amen. Amen. Somebody is like me out there. Yeah, y'all. I'm stuck that she met her husband before they were both 10 years old. So we're not just gonna go over that. We're gonna come back. So I assume they were in the military as well. Their family was in the military.
Yeah, both of us had Army dads, and then our moms became best friends. We were literally like 2 floors apart in our apartment building. And 25 years later, they brought us back together. So it's interesting how life always goes full circle. And even if you're not ready, when it first hits you in the face, it'll throw you a couple more curveballs and make sure that you're ready the second time around.
Now I'm gonna say some things, and I could be wrong, so correct me. And I like to be wrong sometimes, folks. So I'm not one of those shows where I'm always right, spot on, but I have a gift. So I'm gonna ask the question that some of you may want to know. Did you guys connect and get that spark and that kiss? Because maybe, and just maybe, because y'all were one of the few black ones on base, or if he's black, he might not be. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he actually is. And I don't know if that was the reason. I feel because for those that believe in love at first sight, it's bigger. It's so much bigger. And of course, it's puppy love. So we didn't know. But the fact that we are soulmates and inevitably bound through eternity, something happened. There was a spark. The irony is in that time, so that 25 years that we're growing up, we're apart, we saw each other a couple of times and we both had other relationships that obviously didn't pan out, but it taught us exactly what we were looking for. And so when you find your person, I'm just going to put it out there for your listening audience, hold on tight because yeah, the roller coaster that shows up in between may not be worth it. You glean a lot of lessons from it, but yeah, there's nothing as beautiful and amazing as love.
Well, and for all the men out there, what they're hearing when you say all that, they're thinking, once mine, always mine. Hello, he got it first. So, you couldn't go anywhere. You had to come back. You might have tried the hamburger, but the Big Mac was waiting for you. But that is an awesome story. I hope if you haven't already, you write a book, or you guys both write a book about
Yeah,
that.
we're working on it. We're working on it, and we're going to call it Love Found You because, a lot of times people go on searches and hunts and they're looking in the wrong places. But when you least expect it is when it shows up. And I do want to, for the ladies listening, point out I had a role to play. I actually forgot about it because my mom had given him given him my phone number when she went to visit his mother. So we're talking 2007. And she didn't tell me she did that. So I get this unexpected call and I'm like, who is this? And it's like, it's me, it's Lou. And I'm like, who gave you this number? It's like, your mother. So I just said, I'm going to kill her because she didn't prepare me. But his line, hook, line, and sinker, what got me to know that 2 weeks later, I'm marrying this man, was he said, do you remember the letter that you wrote me? And immediately I was like, what letter are you talking about? It's like, the one. So his mother had saved a letter that I'd forgotten about, red color pencil. I did the whole, do you like me? Check yes, check no. But I led it with, you are so beautiful. I did creative license there on that beautiful. And yeah, she saved it for many years, but I'd forgotten about it until he mentioned it. And when I hung up the phone, that's when I realized, wow, wow, the seed was planted. I mean, I'd be silly to run away from this. And he didn't know, but when he finally did propose, my answer had been made months prior. So when you know,
Wow.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And it's beautiful because it's beautiful, but it's beautiful that the mothers connected you. It's almost like an arranged marriage. Hello, who says they don't work? You know, who got the dowry or the bride price? I don't know. She'll write that in the book and you guys can figure that one out.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. So creating a new you, what do you think? We were talking off here right before we started.
Right.
What stops people? Because I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't want to be the grumpy old man, but I'm thinking consistency, ambition, just believing that you can do all things. Hopefully it's in Christ who strengthens you, but whatever that is for you, I just don't see a lot of people pushing. Like, I'm talking about especially young people, but young old people, and old young people, however you guys want to flip it. How do you take somebody and make a new you? What's that first step?
Well, it's actually intrinsic. It's something that has to come from within. But I think you were alluding to the fact that most people don't go there. And it's not because they don't want it. Everyone loves new. Everyone loves amazing. But at the core, we're creatures of habit. So what tends to happen is you get deeply ingrained into whatever you're used to day to day. That's why when the pandemic showed up, it threw everyone for a loop because this isn't something we were used to. And, what people don't understand is you can't move forward unless you look back. You have to dig deep. And that's where the work gets for some people overwhelming. They don't want to go there because sometimes you unearth and uncover things that you just haven't dwelt on in years. But until you do that deep work, you're going to be tethered to whatever's holding you in place. And no judgments, because it is easier to stay exactly where you are. But imagine what lives on the other side of fear. Imagine what greatness is waiting for you if you're willing to get some help, get someone in your corner who's going to cheer you on and guide you, not give you the answers because we all have that inside us, but get you to get past those barriers, the fear that inevitably surfaces when you try to make a change.
And so if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I have, it could be $1 million. I'm just, I don't believe in myself. I have all these other issues." I've worked with kids who clearly will tell you, I mean, they've tried to commit suicide,
Hmm.
all that.
Yeah.
Can you bring somebody like that if they don't believe it? Can they fake it till maybe they never make it? Maybe they never believe it. Can you work with someone like that doesn't believe in themselves?
If they have a willingness to put in the work, because again, you can't carry that burden for them, but you can get under the yoke with them. So I'll give you an example. And the reason why I think it's beautiful, you said you work with children. Before I started life coaching, I was tutoring. So that was always a favorite of mine. When you have a little one whose parent comes to you and they think they're going to fail the year, and before you know it, they're making A's and B's. Same child, right? And it was never really about the subject, whether it was math, science, reading. It's about their belief in themselves. And so taking them through that course of affirmation and really getting to the core of why they feel the way they do. It could be something that's happening in the home. It could be something that's happening at school. Bullying is so prolific and there's not enough conversations about it. So when you get to the reason why there's something holding one back, and then you, instead of giving a band-aid solution, go ahead and work at the core, that's when you start seeing these changes. So it's kind of like when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. It doesn't know what it's going to turn into, but there's something inside it that says, build the cocoon, come out of the chrysalis. And then everyone's amazed at the beauty that was already there. Well, we do that, but we do it many times. And the number of times is all based on how often we're willing to go in and do the work. And so, yeah, it's amazing. I can't even, like, words fail to describe how beautiful it is when a child or an adult turns on the light and they step into what's waiting for them if they just let go of the fear.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I did that type of work, through school, grad school, as many moons ago, because I
Yeah.
found out that you can work with the kids and you can make that impact. But the real money is in the capacity building of building programs and being behind the scenes and not having to, have the liability of if something goes wrong.
Hmm.
And so somebody say, what do you mean? I mean, it goes from making $25,000 a year to making $10,000 a month by working 2 days a week. That's the type of capacity building I'm talking about. So, and those things anybody could do in this country besides pedophiles. We don't want you pedophiles anywhere near
No, no, no,
children.
no, no, no.
I wouldn't be mad if you guys all jumped in a ditch off a cliff, but that's me saying that, not Mrs. Nobles. So tell the people, because people say, "Oh, she can transform me like Ayana. I can fix my life." But they can't get to Ayana. They don't have Oprah money. Where do they need to start to even have that discovery call with you? Because this ain't free 99, folks. You have to invest in yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to follow up on that very important point. There has to be a transaction for a transformation. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have to be every last dime in your possession. I'm not telling you to go out and mortgage your house or, get a second, job, but invest in you. It's the best investment you'll ever make. If you've ever had a free gym membership, how often do you actually get yourself in the gym? But if you know that you're paying for that, even on the days where you feel like, something gets you out that bed, you show up and you meet that trainer and you put in the reps. because you know what's waiting for you. You've already invested up front so you can get that outcome. So to get hold of me, I'm going to make sure that I send you my social links. I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and also I'm on LinkedIn. And then very, very important, if someone says they need to reach me today, then they can definitely just set up an appointment on my calendar link. It would be an honor to be your tour guide and get you started on that journey.
Now, did you make up that line yourself, or or is that a famous quote? Because that sounded like some real ism. Some of my friends in another life are like, yeah, you know, that's right. Has to be a transaction for there to be a transition. Was that one of your originals?
No, it's one that actually, that's another topic. My mentors have imbued that in me. A lot of people think that when they see someone who's successful, like yourself, Kellen, that you just, you know, you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, that, circumstances fell well for you, that, cards were just wonderful. But what they don't see is for every success, there's 1,000 failures. They don't see the blood, the sweat, the tears, the determination that you had, that no matter what, you were going to succeed. And so what I always try to help people understand is just because you see me smiling doesn't mean that every day was a good day. It means that despite the difficulties, I'm still here and I'm determined to help other people understand they can be better too. So, I don't get this without help. I wasn't born into this. Some people are gifted, like you think of Whitney's voice or Prince or Michael, like that's talent, right? But they still had coaches. They still had support. They still had trainers. So no matter where you are to get to the next level, it's going to take help. So I have coaches, I have mentors, I have guidance, and that's why I'm such a strong advocate of getting others to get it too. Because once you start having someone else's belief kick in for you before yours does, when you get someone that guides you where you can't see those blind spots and you start amazing yourself at what you can do, that's where the magic happens.
Definitely, definitely. And you being from Lake Okeechobee, and forgive me, y'all, if I get this whole Pahokee. I knew Belglade because that's where all the football players are. And
Yeah.
I'm a licensed sports agent, so I'm always trying to hover around and say,
Okay.
hey, who wants, real
Yeah.
representation? We're not
Yeah.
buying your mother a car to get you because we're not going to rip you off 10x like some of
Beautiful.
these agents do. But you being from that area and you saying that reminds me when I was shooting with Doc Holliday,
Mhm.
and he was like, yeah, you having fun? I said, yeah, I can smile and shoot. And I tell people that often. I can shoot and smile. So just because I'm smiling don't mean that, we can't defend ourselves, trained by the best.
Right.
But the fact that you don't always even care how certain people are feeling because they might just be smiling, or for that person who's damn near weeping, people don't even come up to them anymore. I saw a girl out here in Florida jump out of a car,
Mm.
flip-flops and all. I had to turn around, bonnet on her head. I had to
Mm.
make sure she wasn't human trafficked, but I was shocked that everybody didn't do that.
Yeah.
Come to find out, she jumped out of her mama's car because she didn't want to listen with a baby and a cell phone. If you don't stop it, yeah. We gotta talk about you, because I had him on the hook, like, oh wow, Kellen, really? Yeah, it's people are hurting, and it's not just because it's a recession, and you're one of those coaches that you have the kindness. I tell people all day, I try my best to be kind, but sometimes you need to get whooped like your daddy should have whooped you. And if he wasn't there, I'm here to do that because I got to give it to you my way. And I love that. So how long have you been doing this? And talk about, of course, not names, some of the examples, the testimonials you can give. Just because if you don't say that, people say, well, how do I know it works? I didn't hear no story about it. How did you make somebody $1 billion? Okay, 1 million, that's
Yeah.
what they think success is, which success, I mean, that's fine, but you should want greatness,
There
because
you go.
greatness is ooh wee, that's a different thing. But give us some
Amen.
examples of of that.
Yeah. So, you know how you kind of know when you're little what you're going to be when you grow up? Like you have that whisper in your ear saying, this is what you're meant to do. And you run from it because you're like, I don't know. I really don't know. So it's one of those things where I always was that person that people would come to for advice. But I had a rule. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to ask you questions. And in those questions, people end up discovering exactly what they need to do. Now, it's the funny thing, the hardest part is not saying what the person's supposed to do because you could have a much shorter conversation, right? But it's like the difference between giving someone a fish and teaching them how to fish. So I just basically love having the opportunity to help someone level up, and then with my dad's military forays, I just was bit with wanderlust from an early age. So even once he got out, I still found it essential to be in new places, surround myself with new people. So, scared my mom to death and back when I told her I'm just going to go live in New York. And she's like, what? By yourself? I said, yeah, I need to live in the city. I need to see what that's like. And I was there for a year by myself, just seeing what life is like. Wisely, of course. I mean, I got stories about that train, but just making sure that I did it wisely. But the learnings, because people are full of stories. And if you're willing to listen, they want someone to share it with. So just I had this way, this magnetism where people would come and tell me their lives and share these things. And as far as how long I've been doing this full time, that's a funny story because it's been a little over a year. I was in a very posh, well-paying corporate job, making over six figures a year, and decided this is what I need to be doing instead. Obviously, there's an earning potential and there's more lives to be touched. But, I was helping people get cruise vacations. So I plan the trip of a lifetime for you. And it dawned on me, this is just escapism. You're getting 1 or 2 weeks out of the year where you feel alive. What happens if I give people a life they don't need a vacation from? And so that's been my obsession. And some of the success stories I've had, man, it's so tough because for me it's all about the feeling and the emotion in that transformation. There was one young lady that was crying when we got to the end of her program. And I'm like, what's wrong? Was there something else we need? And she's like, you give so much because there's a tendency in this industry to drip, you know, to kind of just give you little crumbs in hopes that you stick around for a long, long time. But my mindset is I need to set you free. I'm that mama bird that's going to kick you out the nest so you can go out there, do what you got to do, and then help other people do the same. I'm not looking just to change one life. I want to have a ripple effect. I want to meet the grandchildren of someone I helped who says, because of you, grandma or granddad did XYZ. And so, with that being said, we're on a race against the clock. I'm trying to just help people collapse time and just dig deep and do the things that they're afraid to do. Because I promise you, Kellen, you know this, that nothing happens unless you're willing to step out on that ledge. I have a story on this. This was many moons ago. I was picked by the state governor and the principal of my high school to go to this summer college program. So this is the summer of 93. And for 1 month, we are immersed. There's 100 of us from across the state of Florida. We're immersed in all these activities. They're probably using us as guinea pigs, who knows? But there was this one trust activity where we had to climb a pole and jump across to a bar. So, full disclosure, one of my hugest fears is heights. Like, I don't dig it. I can barely drive across bridges. Yeah, I have big issues with that. Got trapped on a mountain in California once, had to be surrounded by friends, walk down to the rattlesnake tail. Yeah, it was a hot mess. But I'm on this pole, and the only mission was to jump. If you missed the pole, it was okay because we had the gear on. But they had to count probably 20 times. 3, 2, 1. And I would just do one of those and not go. I finally decide to go for it. I make contact with the bar, but I break a couple nails, blood spurts out everywhere. It's so embarrassing because I'm a teenager. So everybody's laughing. But I was so proud because I jumped. It's all about taking the leap. And it's not until you do it that you realize it wasn't that bad anyway. So, what are you doing in life? Why are you standing still? Just do the do. And then you'll thank me later.
So it sounds like, and all puns intended and everything, that you were mastering the climb when you took that, which I believe is a book that you co-wrote. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Look at you doing your research. So
I'm not.
that was
I'm extremely nosy. I got more. I got your IRS papers here too, but
oh
we might
no.
not have. We might not have time for that. Talking about people's first million, but that's another part literature. But yeah, give us the game on mastering that climb, and I'm just trying to correlate and put all that together because you're scared of heights, and now
Yeah.
you have the book of
Yeah.
mastering it and how to get over. So you can get that book on Amazon too. People, check that out.
Appreciate you. But yeah, it's one of those things where I tell people anytime you have the privilege to listen to someone else's story, they're sharing a piece of their soul. So that title was a shout out to the fact that the things that I'm afraid to do are the very things that were required to get me to new levels. And, when it comes to climbing, more people think probably of, mountainside or cliffs. But I always say it's like you're in an elevator and you never quite get to the penthouse because no matter how big you are, there's always room for improvement. The challenge is every floor you climb, that ceiling made of glass gets denser. So now it becomes a question of, are you just going to become comfortable and stay where you are? Are you going to stretch outside that comfort zone and reach for what's next? And so anyone who's great, Michael Jordan, Oprah, all these stories we hear, people who accomplish huge things, they refuse to stay comfortable. And so mastering the climb is just this foray into going beyond where you are, you know. And I don't think that our culture in particular is usually vested with the opportunity to sit and question what's waiting for us. More than not, we're forced into a box and we're told what will be there for us. So I'm just raising the masses to stand tall and go out there and get what's yours. And, when you dig into our history, our real history, you find that there were some huge accomplishments that have been hidden. And so it's on us to continue to carry that legacy forward.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to talk about one of my favorite subjects,
Uh-oh, what's
Africa.
that?
Africa.
Okay.
Because when you talk about hidden, a lot of us here in America, I don't care where you're from, what island, whether they dropped you off first in Haiti or Jamaica, or if you're straight from, Lake Okeechobee, a lot of us are just, we're black on the outside, but it's a very white thinking. And what I
Mm,
mean by that is the culture, even of your holidays. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about your mama and your grandmother's holidays. They're pagan.
mm.
And the fact that you think this is you and you believe in the holidays and you also believe in who they told you were, which if you've ever done an American school, you're a slave to start with history. That's where your history starts, and that's dang near, besides Martin Luther King and that rebel Malcolm X, is where it ends. So Africa, I tell people, and we do group trips there using our clients' platforms and talk about investment, but talk about how Africa and other Black, nations have like changed your travels and just changed your mind on things.
Yeah, it's technically still on my bucket list as far as going there live, but I've had
Mm-hmm.
the privilege and honor of befriending many colleagues and acquaintances from there. And the most recent was a few months back. I was invited to another podcast, and one of the attendees was actually there in Africa, and she stayed on despite it being, I think, like some ungodly hour, 3 o'clock in the morning, so she could listen to my segment. But one thing that was really underscored in that exchange, the Africa that's depicted with the starving child and the limitations, that's not real. There are people accomplishing big things, whether it's from a financial standpoint, um, political developments, just huge achievements that don't get publicized. And so children here may get it twisted and think they're to be pitied or that's horrible. But that's, again, more of the legacy. And it's on each of us to unearth that truth and know what's really happening. I was one of those kids where it was a punishment for me to come out of my room and stop reading.
Mhm.
Like, it's like, get out of there, put that book down and come watch TV. But I was just really obsessed with learning. And the more that you feed your mind, the more that you start realizing that any boundaries that are placed upon you, either you put them there because of fear or someone else put them there because they're afraid of what your potential truly is. And so the only way to break free from that is to keep self-educating, keep learning, and never, ever put an end to your thirst and your quest for knowledge. And then once you know, share that. Because if you keep it to yourself, what good is that? But share that with anyone who's willing to listen. And yeah, it's just beautiful connection. Africa is glorious. I've had friends who've been that come back. They bring me gifts. They share their experiences. So yeah, it's definitely on my bucket list.
All right, make it happen. We got 2 slots left for our November trip this year. It's a 5-star experience staying at the Kopinski. That's my ad for Africa for those who want to jump on that, because tomorrow's not promised.
No.
And I don't want y'all to keep asking me, what about the next trip? No, take the one that we have going. But in doing, travels and even doing the cruise lines, there is a difference, especially as a Black American, when you go to Jamaica, when you go to the San Martins, go to Guatemala, where the Guatafus are in that area. There's an American privilege, and there's surely a Black American privilege, because you got to have some money to come here when they see us. So can you talk about, that new you of when you went to your first, majority Black nation, and just how that can change someone's mind of who they thought they were?
Yeah, you're right. The juxtaposition of what you think versus what is, it definitely very different. Um, for me and my hubby, I think for us, the experiences, because I'll call it lazy cruisers. We don't tend to get off at the port. We like having the ship to ourselves because everyone runs off. And then you have all the amenities to you. And what tends to happen is we become favorites with the staff because we value and treasure the culture of people that are from all over. They've sacrificed their family life somewhere from 6 to 8 months at a stretch to be there providing for their family back home. And they don't tend to be acknowledged. And a lot of that stems from we know what it feels like to be the person in the room who's perceived as a token as opposed to having earned your way there. And we kind of get a kick out of that where people don't realize that, it's not about fighting for your seat at the table. It's about building your own buffet hall full of tables so you can make space and make way for others. So just the exchanges that we hear from people um, far and abroad, whether it's Philippines, India, Russia. I mean, we've met people from so many different places. And oftentimes when we have those exchanges with those who are Black as well, it's funny because it seems like there's a little bit of pride when they're like, yeah, we're on the ship too, not in a working capacity, but for vacation. But, it's one of those things where it's bigger than race. And I'm going to segue to another experience I had as a child in Lake Okeechobee. It's going to carry a lot more weight if I position it that way. We just come back from one of Dad's military assignments, and the teachers noticed that, I'm a little different. I don't sound like the other kids. I don't really act like the other kids. So they decided to send me for this IQ test. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was shocking enough that they're like, okay, we need to put you in some gifted programs. You're different. Unfortunately, um, in the race box, they put Caucasian. And at that age, I didn't know what that word meant. I was like, what? I said to Mom, what was it? What's a Caucason? What is this? She's like, I don't know. I mean, that wasn't in our vernacular. So when I walk into the first day of class at the 5th and 6th grade center, which still is there in Okeechobee, the teacher's mouth or like her jaw hits the ground. And as a kid, I can sense something ain't right. So I'm like, is it something wrong? She's like, we were just expecting someone different. So that's when I went later and looked that up. And I'm like, oh, goodness. So just the assumption that I have to be someone that I'm not to deliver on that level. Or was
Wow.
it even more debased where it was like, we can't let them get credit. We need to make sure that this shows is us. Whatever it was, I learned at an early age that you have to be true to who you are. And I caught it from both sides. I mean, I had people saying, you don't talk black, you don't act black. And that's coming from others of us. But again, that tends to be the limitation of not knowing who we are and what we bring to the table, that we are multifaceted and we are multicolored, and we should celebrate each other instead of using that to divide and attack each other. So, yeah, I just had to learn early. Different doesn't mean bad. It just means different. And how can you use that to bridge gaps so people feel better about who they are?
In the words of Jeremiah, right? Different does not mean deficient. And when you say, it's not about race, I tell people that, but usually it's people who are all caught up on that. And it
Hmm.
anchors them, because when you look into class, millionaires, billionaires who are billionaires, it's just money to be made. But even when you go into the tribalism, which many Americans won't understand, that tribalism is even worse than racism.
Hmm.
It will do things to people, and it could be, anybody could get caught up in it. I try, as Seth Godin talks about, finding my own tribe, people
Mm.
who think like me, act like me, and the way they look, it varies, and people are, shocked. So I definitely get that. But I've also been told, well, Kellen, that's just because you got, and it's like, you don't know what I have. You have no idea what I have. I
Yeah.
try not to show y'all because I don't want that envy, when I'm sitting on that plane and nobody else is there but me, and the pilots. But, I'm trying not to show you guys that. You'll never see me sitting on the staircase of the plane. I'm talking about flying private, y'all. Yeah, catch up, stuck in the mud. But even in first class, when people are in first class, everyone's smiling and talking because it's networking for people.
Hmm.
Yeah, this fish is good, man. And let me whip it in the back so you guys can smell some of that. It's bigger than that. It's a lot of class and tribal warfare. But with that, tell the people, what is your community give back that you're doing or that you want to do? And does that include you playing the guitar?
Oh my God, you saw my guitar photo?
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it all.
Yeah, that was just me feeling good. So my husband will say, man, you sound great. I got that thing at the beginning of the pandemic just to do something new. I don't know how to play a song yet, but I feel amazing when I rock out and make tons of noise on it. The give back is all about, again, just helping people unearth that life can be better, that they're meant for more. So I'm in the process of firming up a program I have for a nonprofit I founded, and that's specifically for children. You go into the school system and help them understand you hold the pen, you control your destiny. And it's not confined to what your current home situation or school situation is. That, don't let today be the end of the road for you. It's just the beginning. So just making sure that I'm pouring back into the things that were there for me. And, where again, there's a lot of resistance, sometimes from the outside, sometimes from within, just helping people understand the fight is about the win, not necessarily win as in timing. It can take some longer than others, but never give up, persevere. And I mean, life is a winning game if you don't give up. I know it might be a little unusual, but there's something I want to bring up as a question for you. Why is it that you think that we are, our culture, that is, the whole crab in a bucket mentality, that instead of celebrating and hurrahing when we see success, that there tends to be that envy or that hold back, that clutch onto your leg as you're climbing higher?
Well, see, we see it from that is us. But if you talk to somebody who's Chinese or someone who's Japanese, they have their internal stuff. We just don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese and
Mhm.
understand that we're all people. We all go through the same thing in our circles. And so it's for us, if we're born here, we learn that at 5 7 crabs in the bucket. And if I build a barbershop here, you got to build one across the street. But that's not
Mm.
a bad thing, because you inspired me to believe I could do it. It's how we take it. It's like when your favorite aunt makes that potato salad and then your non-favorite aunt tries to repeat it and like, we ain't eating that. I was gonna say a dish that my family would have known what I was talking about. I'm glad I said potato salad. Caught myself, but there's some people who can just make dishes better, and that jealousy. And again, it goes back to, we do not know, a lot of us, not everyone, because you don't have to go to Africa to understand Africa or to
No.
understand how this originated. But we don't understand that we're a community people. We don't understand that when people say, Africans, and my wife, her grandfather had 100 wives.
Mm.
How many women are signing up for that if that man could have provided everything? Now, I don't know everything. Let me take that back. Most things. 100's a lot to satisfy. But, that community, we do it. We do our own set of polygamy, except that, grandfather or daddy, depending on how close you are, had the family on the other side, and maybe he was honest, maybe he wasn't. We don't even have enough care sometimes to stop when we see somebody, again, jump out of a car with their
Mm.
flip-flops,
Mm.
or somebody who needs a cup of sugar, trying to have a conversation with us nowadays. I'm talking about Black folk now,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
amongst us. You try to talk to somebody at let's say a Walmart for something their child did, and they barely want to have a talk to you. But if their car doesn't work and they're frustrated and you just happen to pay that bill, now you're the best thing since sliced bread. And sliced bread ain't that wonderful, y'all. George Carlin said it's a piece of bread and you slice it. So it's like, when you think you need somebody, oh wow.
Mm.
But what happened just being pleasant to people, wanting to get to know people, not necessarily, I know people have been through abuse and
Yeah.
all type of trauma, and I've seen it working even for CPS. I've seen, like, okay, you've been done wrong.
Right.
And the folks who have tried to do right, sometimes they get burned too, and it makes them not want to help anybody, because you could be caught out on, you're helping someone, then you could be sued. Then you could be accused of, oh, you were giving mouth to mouth. No, you were trying to do X, Y, and Z. I
Mm.
was trying to save a life.
Right.
I've
Right.
done that. I've helped. And I told the person, look, I really don't want to put my hands on this young lady. She got them, you guys call them hoochie daddy shorts, but we call them something cutters. Starts with the C. I try to keep it family friendly. I don't really want to touch her because she's passed out over here at South by Southwest, but I don't want, later on, but I had to take the bullet and do what we have to do. But I say all that to say that's why we don't know who we are,
Mm.
and we don't. And it's sad, because if you talk about Africa to a Jamaican, why do I need to know where I'm from?
Mm.
Because you are still caught up in the slave trade. You don't know, you didn't even do your DNA. I got a citizenship last year. My kids got a citizenship to Sierra Leone, which is in the background behind the picture. Forgive me,
Okay.
y'all. I haven't designed my new place yet, but we just don't know who we are, and we got to figure it out. And everybody's journey is going to be different, because I surely don't mean for y'all all to email me and say, well, show me who I am. I do have a course that you can check that out. Links in the description for that too. But again, I'm gonna give it to you uncut and raw, because a lot of us complain about racism, but we're the biggest white supremacists in our minds.
Mm. And I love that you make that point, because the crux of my program too is identity shift. Because a lot of times I have to take people through this journey of, who are you anyway? Most of us don't know. But then once you identify that, who do you want to be? And now how do we close the gap? So yeah, everything is intrinsic on identity.
Amen, amen. And how you see yourself. I mean, I've dealt with kids in abuse. I've given the 5-year-olds lithium on doctor's orders because he was on a step down program in the psych ward, and this was a white boy, and and we expect him to act normal, and he's on lithium at 5 in his room by himself. No one comes to visit him. We
Mm,
expect him to be normal human being. No, it's we got a lot of things wrong. And I homeschool my kids because I knew growing up in school you might have had a different situation in Lake Okeechobee, but they weren't teaching anything I was interested in.
mhm.
it,
Well, yeah,
it
I don't know. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, the education system. But yeah, because of the fact that I was moving every year and a half, sometimes I'd go through the same thing 3 times and I'd miss something else altogether. So it's very disjointed. But yeah, that's beautiful that you're homeschooling them and, giving them not just book education, but life, to understand that, for example, instead of being an, employee, you can be the entrepreneur. Instead of punching the clock, you can own the company. So I think that's kudos to you. That's huge.
Thank you. I give kudos to my wife, and we also give kudos to Professor Gabriel, their professor via online, who's in Cameroon. And we try to tell people, you want to join this, want to make it a co-op, or you want to hire a teacher, we'll give you the game how we do it affordably
Awesome.
for us, because it's not like you need the big private school money, but you need to use geo arbitrage. Find somebody who the amount of money you can afford, it can help. So I say that because whenever somebody give me a compliment, I tell them, man, I didn't do that. I mean, that's a guy thing. I'm over here. If you knew what I really wanted to do, man. So I got to give credit to those who actually make it all happen, because I'm one speck of sand, and man, I've wanted my life to be somewhat easy for to replace some of the hard times that were there. And hard times will always come,
Right.
so you should be able to enjoy life when you can. Uh,
Absolutely.
so you got a book coming out, you got books, anything else, movies, events, what's hey.
Well, I guess you can term it a movie, kind of. I'm ready to start taking over the stage again. Get back into speaking events. Reason being, when you spoke about normal and the young boy that you were helping, normal is a relative term. Normal is all dictated by what you're accustomed to. And I feel like I want to establish a new normal. I want to just elevate as many lives as I can. And as good as this virtual setting is, there's something different when you're in person. There's some type of electricity that just set a room on fire. And, when you have this exchange and, it's one to one, and, others are going to listen to it later, but when in real time, you have that one to many, it's just a new level of energy. And so, yeah, it's something I haven't done since my teen years, but entered a ton of, speech competitions. And it was always funny because it would get real quiet in the room. And, people would be, whispering, talking, doing whatever, but I'd start talking and then all of a sudden it would just be like, so it was almost unearthly, like you could hear the pin drop kind of deal. And I'm like, wait, did I say something wrong? But then I realized it's because people can connect on a different level when you're speaking to their heart. And so yeah, that's what's coming up next. Can't wait to just get out there and share the journey and help people just start living for real, We got to make up for lost time. A lot of us during isolation kind of did the whole bury the head in the sand ostrich move. And now it's time to come up. It's time to breathe and spread our wings. And I just want to mention really quick the book that you referenced, Your First Million. There's a story behind that. So it was 3 years prior that I was still in the cruise industry. And I said to my hubby, when I heard an announcement about this really luxury liner they were building, we're going to be on that ship. I didn't know how, I didn't know when. I said, but we're going to be on that ship and we're going to be in our first suite at sea. And when it happened, I said, I'm going to write about it. So that book is an homage to when you say something And then you position yourself to be in the way of things, that the doors that open up, the windows that open up, even if you got to push with all your might, and you see it happen, that feeling. And so 7 days. Yeah, I'm sitting out on the balcony of that suite with the ocean waves as my background music, and I write that. And it was, to me, the most beautiful thing about it. I share my story, but it's your story too, because it doubles as a gratitude journal. So you're writing down your life, and from the beginning to end, you change, you literally morph. And I've had people tell me they've read it like 4 times because every time they get something different from it. So it's all about growth and not being static. I mean, life is way too short to stay where you are.
Amen. Amen. And, you know, death and life is in the power of the tongue. You can get what you can see. I mean, I go from the scriptures. I tell people, start at Proverbs if you don't like that Genesis if it moves too slow for you. And but it's you can have, merrily life is but a dream.
Yeah.
You can tie all that into to scripture, your favorite verses, your favorite nursery rhymes, as a man thinketh, all that good stuff. So I love that you do that. So if nothing else, you guys, you got the power to at least start to think different and think about checking out those subscription links and making that discovery call and seeing what it is before you see her do some stuff in Miami with, the Miami-Dade Chamber, when Oprah comes to Miami, when, whoever you can think of, you need to tap in now while you have 2 pennies and you can afford it. But just because you got to remember, there is no transition without a transaction, and flip it however you want. But I love it, and the game is really to be sold, not told. So that is it. You guys have gotten the game. Make sure you share this with somebody. The best conversations happen offline, but share it with somebody. It will change their life, somebody's life. Y'all be blessed.
Hey family, on November 20th through December 1st, 2022, we will have the all-inclusive Kenya trip. Now, a lot of times people have said, hey, Phil, when's the next trip we'd like to go? I want to see Africa for myself, but this is the time to go. Everything will be taken care of. All excursions are paid. You can do monthly payments. They'll have safari and a 6-city tour. You will see Charlie Island, which is something that we did not see last time on the tour. This tour will be 12 days instead of 7 days. So make sure to secure your place on the trip by going to www.wbsvs.com, make your deposit, and then you can start making your payments, and we'll see you in Kenya.
Hi guys, I'm Kai Gabiam from the Diaspora channel, a lover of Africa. If you love Africa as well and you would love to visit one day or to relocate to Africa, there is a course out there for you. And this course is My First Trip to Africa, a course well put together by a seasoned traveler, Kellen Cash Coleman. This course is designed to prepare you to travel better, which will save you both time and money. And the great news is this course costs only $20, guys. It can't get any better. Go right now and enroll to this course at www.diversifygame.com. Don't miss out.